Hi everybody, I am Naufal. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss regarding staff development program. Okay, suppose just imagine that after completing your course, you got a job in the hospital and you are a fresher. Your knowledge is very limited, right? So to improve your skill and to improve your knowledge for your benefit of your professional as well as your personal growth, as well as for the benefit of the organization, you will get some skill training as well as you will get some education from the side of the employer, that is from the side of the management. It will improve your professional as well as your personal growth, as well as it will get a benefit to the organization also by giving an effective nursing care to the patient. So to increase your knowledge and your skill, what the management is doing, they are giving a skill training as well as education programs to the staff, that is staff development program. Got it? We can see the staff development programs one by one. First one is induction. Induction means introducing a new staff to the organization. Okay, suppose you are a new staff, so that management or that hospital is introducing you to that organization. Okay, it will last for 2 to 3 days only, and they will give a brief explanation regarding the philosophy, regarding the purpose, as well as regarding the policies and regulations of the hospital. They will give a brief explanation. Got it? It will last for only 2 to 3 days only, right? Next one is orientation. After induction, the next program is orientation. Orientation is given to the all organization as well as to the specific department as well as to the specific job. Okay, orientation is given to the all organization, to the entire organization regarding the entire hospital. For example, regarding the objectives of the hospital, regarding the goals of the hospital, and regarding the policies of the hospital, and regarding the organizational structure of the hospital, they are giving an orientation. Next, orientation to the specific department. Suppose you are posted in ICU, so they are giving orientation to that specific department, the head of the ICU, as well as the staffs of the ICU, the routines of the ICU, and regarding the policies of the ICU and the equipments and the machines of the ICU, they will introduce to you. Okay, next one is orientation to the specific job, that is regarding your job. You are a staff nurse in the beginning, so they will give orientation regarding your responsibility. What are the responsibilities of a new staff, and what are the routines of a new staff, and what are the use of different machines. They will introduce different machines, and regarding the records as well as from the reports also, they will give an orientation. So orientation include orientation regarding the entire organization, regarding the specific department, as well as regarding the specific job. Got it? That is orientation. Orientation period may vary from different department to department. If it is in the ICU, the time period will be different. If it is in the emergency department, the time period may be different. Sometimes it will take several months also. Okay, that is orientation. You are getting orientation regarding the organization, regarding specific department, as well as regarding the specific job. Got it? Next one is in-service education. In-service education. So in-service education means within the service only. The name itself say that in service. You are in a service. You are in a particular job and you are getting education. Okay, you are getting education within the service. You are a staff. In between your job, you are getting some education. Now you are not a student. You are not a full-time student. In between the job, you are getting some education, that is in service education, within the service. The simple term you can use is earn and learn. You are earning money also, you are learning also, right? So you are working also as well as you are learning also, that is earn and learn. So you can define in service education as It is a planned learning experience. It is a planned learning experience provided by the employer to the employee. It is a planned learning experience provided by the employer to the employee. That is, it is provided by the management or the boss or the owner of the organization to the workers. An education program is provided by the management to the workers while they are performing the job. For example, you can say that an in-service education regarding the use of ventilator to the staff nurses of ICU. Okay, so that staff nurses who are working in a ICU, they don't know how to use a newly introduced ventilator. So management is conducting an in-service education regarding the usage of ventilator to the staff nurses of ICU. Got it? So within the job only, within the service, they are getting education. That is in-service education. Right? Next we can see the aims and objectives of in-service education. What are the aims and objectives of in-service education? First one is to provide and to promote the personal and professional growth and development of the employee. The first objective is to provide and to promote the growth and development. For what? The professional growth and as well as the personal growth and development of the employee. That is the first objective. Right? Next one is to provide job satisfaction to the individual. Okay, through in-service education they are getting so many knowledge and they are getting so many skills. So it will provide a job satisfaction. Next objective is to achieve the objectives of the hospital. In-service education is required. Right? So the third objective is to achieve the objectives of the hospital. Okay. Next one is, the fourth objective is to stimulate the occupational interest. To stimulate the interest of the occupation. To stimulate occupational interest. Right? The last objective is to develop good atmosphere and to provide effective care. Through in-service education, a good atmosphere can be created because the skill is increasing and the education is increasing. So you can give a effective care. That is the fifth objective. Okay. Next we can see the approaches of in-service education. This is the very important part of the in-service education, that is approaches of in-service education. First one is centralized approach. First one is centralized approach. Centralized approach means all the planning activities, all the planning regarding the in-service education and all the needs regarding the in-service education. Suppose in your hospital, the nursing administrator or the top level management is doing all the planning and all the needs they are identifying. There is no role to any staffs. Okay, all the things are carried out by the top level management only, and they are conducting in-service education. So the entire role is for the top level management. The entire role is for the nursing administrator only. There is no role for the in-charge nurses or the staff nurses. They are just participating only. Okay, planning is done by the top level management and it is conducted by the top level management. Only the participation of the staff will occur. They will participate in a particular in-service program. Okay, that is centralized from the center, from the top level. Okay, the planning is occurred. Next one is decentralized approach. Decentralized approach means it is just opposite to the centralized approach. All the planning activities and the responsibilities are carried by the staff. That is the middle level management and the lower level management of a specific department or more than one unit. For example, you are giving in a ICU department a in-service education regarding the use of infusion pump. It is conducted on ICU only, on a specific department only, department wise. It is decentralized. In centralized, it is given by the top level management to the entire departments. but in decentralized, in a particular department is planning such activities and they are conducting. So there is a role to the in charge nurse and to the staff nurse as well as to the ward nurse. They are planning, they are identifying the needs and they are conducting the program. Okay, suppose if any help is required, they are consulting the top level management, that is the nursing administrator. But the responsibility is there for the in charge as well as to the staff nurses, that is to the middle level as well as to the lower level management. The responsibility for conducting program is there in decentralized approach. Okay, last one is coordinated approach. Coordinated approach means it is a combination of both. It is the combination of both centralized as well as decentralized approach. It is the combination of these two things. That is, there is role for the top level management as well as the responsibility is there for the middle level as well as the lower level management. For example, a program is conducted regarding the usage of infusion pump. So responsibility and the plannings are conducted by the in charge nurse of the ICU or in charge nurse of the emergency department. But the broad program, the entire program is conducted by the top level management. Okay, so the participation of the everybody, that is the top level management, the middle level management as well as the lower level management is there in coordinated approach. That is regarding in service education. The last one is continuing education. Continuing education. From the name itself you can see that education is continuing. An individual has basic education and he is still continuing the education. For example, a GNM nurse, that is a diploma holder nurse, is continuing her education by upgrading her diploma to degree by doing post BSc nursing. Okay, it is continuing education, right? So continuing education means all the activities that are carried out after completing a basic education. All the learning activities, you can define continuing education as all the learning activities that are carried out after completing a basic education. Basic education is already finished and you are upgrading the things, you are upgrading your knowledge and you are upgrading your skills. For example, I have already given that a GNM student is upgrading her course, that is diploma to degree by doing post BSc. Another example is skill training, that is regarding the CPR. You are taking a diploma, a short term course, that is BLS course or ACLS course, or nowadays some courses are available like emergency medical course and all. Okay, so you are doing that after completing your degree or diploma, you are doing some another skill training courses, that is continuing education. You can call in service education also a part of continuing education. Okay, after completing a basic education, you are upgrading your knowledge and you are upgrading your degrees. That is continuing education. Got it? So don't get confused with in service education. In service means within the service. Continuing education means all the things after completing your course. What are the diplomas and short term courses or short term programs you are attending, you can call it as continuing education. The criteria is the learning activity should be taken after completing a basic education. After completing a basic education only. Okay, that is you are continuing your education. Got it? That's all regarding staff development program. We will meet soon with another video. Till that, thank you and goodbye.